Welcome to the Voice of San Diego podcast in partnership with News Radio 600 Kogo. I'm Scott Lewis, the CEO and editor-in-chief at Voice San Diego, and she's got a thing for the VHS look. She's Bella Ross. So my childhood is your appropriation?
Yeah, I'm appropriating the 90s. I mean, I think I talked to somebody once in vintage fashion that said that, like, at our core, her theory is that our core personal style is connected to the year we were born.
Yeah.
And I was born in 1998. So there you have it. That's the answer.
Yeah. That was it was the transition point, though, of VHS to DVD.
Yeah, I was alive during the transitional technology that was the joint VHS to DVD player, which I have since purchased one of them, and they don't hold up very well. You have to get like one of each. That's really the way to do it.
Well, fun fact, I used to sell those.
Yeah.
So when people would come in and they'd be like, I need a new VCR, and I still remember VCRs were like $280 or something like that. It was an investment.
Yes.
And I'd be like, hey, DVDs are coming.
Right.
Like, you don't want to be on the old side of things. And what if you did this joint $600 option where there's, one side DVD, one side VCR.
1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future.
And I used to sell a lot of those, we had a really good Sony Walkman that you could hit, and we would demonstrate that you could hit it and it wouldn't skip.
I had a Walkman, and it never lived up to the anti-skipping sort of situation. It was always
not the one I sold, Jacob.
Sure,
no, you didn't have that one.
But we could smack it in store, and people would be like, "Wow, that's incredible."
It's like at Dairy Queen when they turn the Blizzard upside down. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Yeah. You're stressing me out.
I will say I am relieved that I got back into collecting VHSs 12, 13 years ago before they have now become incredibly a commodity again. Now
really?
VCRs are like $80 on Craigslist. They sell for
really
a whole lot of money.
And they don't work very well.
No.
When I moved, I had to take a laundry basket full of old VCRs that had broken that I thrifted to an electronic waste facility.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a burden on my life, but Jacob has way more VHSs than me, actually.
You guys don't even know the stress, though, of recording a show and then somebody recording over it.
Oh, yeah.
That's too old head for us, for sure. Even too old head for me.
Or recording over your mom's workout videos, and she'd be like, whoa.
What is this?
That's my workout video. And
just wait 30 years, Mom. You'll be able to find it on YouTube.
Yeah. All right. And he wrote the line this week, quote, California's students are woefully underperforming in math, end quote. It's always a banger story when you've got woefully in there. It's Jacob McQuinney.
Well, and it's true, they are.
Woeful.
They're woefully.
Is there woe?
There's woe. There's woe. Maybe on the
are they
behalf of math teachers.
Are they full of woe?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe this is a true thing.
It's not the only impressive word he used this week.
Yeah, what was it?
He turned in a draft, and I was like, Jacob.
What was the word?
I wrote much ballyhooed.
Ballyhooed.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Wait,
ballyhooed.
I'm sorry. Can I get a definition?
It's basically overly hyping something up, in an exaggerated way.
It's a close cousin to brouhaha.
Brouhaha, yes.
you're in journalism land when you're writing rankled and brouhaha
and it was
and
true.
ballyhooed.
It was true. I was talking about Vision 2020.
Beleaguered. Well, beleaguered's a little more mainstream.
Yeah, but I was talking about Vision 2020. I feel like you can profess to the fact that was much ballyhooed.
And you cut it.
I just said Jacob, LOL.
She wrote Jacob, LOL, and I took that as a hint. Maybe I don't need ballyhood in the lead.
Ballyhood.
In the lead.
In the lead. Much ballyhood was in the lead.
No, you should have to work for ballyhood, dude. Put it a little lower down.
We all make mistakes sometimes.
It was the seventh word. I was like, no, I can't.
Well, they're full of woe, and they're hooing with bally.
Maybe the woe is much ballyhood.
And she is all dressed up and ready to go. She's Andrea Sanchez Villafana. What's up, kid?
Hey, Lewis.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
You don't think this is how I'm dressing tonight, do you?
No.
Okay.
Is that how I imagine that is what you are wearing tonight?
So this is alternate A of the white shirt options.
Okay.
Right. Wait, I think you need to provide some context.
Okay, tonight is the Off the Record event for Voice San Diego. Sold out. Waitlist galore. Ballyhooed. Much ballyhooed event.
The much ballyhooed event, yeah.
Yeah.
And totally off the record.
Woefully oversold.
Lots of woe.
By the time you all hear this, we'll be recovering from our hangovers because we're going to be raging so hard tonight in the name of
I
journalism.
don't drink, but I will be collecting insights on all of you. I think it'll be a lot
That
of
was
fun.
extremely ominous.
we got a look.
There was a look. Yeah, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you didn't see the look.
Hopefully it goes well and people enjoy themselves. It's we're part of the caretakers of San Diego's story, and I'm very proud of that. And my entire mission here and our entire mission has been to make sure that the insider jokes are something a lot more people understand. And I'm proud of that, and we're going to celebrate it tonight. So it should be fun. If you're going to be there, or if you were there, great.
Great. Thanks.
Coming up on the show this week, there's a meteor heading for the city of San Diego's budget, and I think they should finally start talking about it. It's a big deal. It's on an actual meteor. Mackenzie was like, whoa, I got a little nervous. Like, Voice San Diego's not going to break that there's a meteor headed for
I mean, if
planet.
nobody else is talking about it.
That's true. We only cover something if we can do it better than anyone else or no one else
It's
is doing
headed
it.
straight for City Hall, like precisely.
We'll talk about that. The county governance reforms are marching forward, but one state senator says her fellow Democrats need to change the plan before it goes to the ballot. And finally, an old friend of Voice San Diego, Ashly McGlone, has done a podcast series about her grandfather, a reconnaissance officer who served in many parts of the world. It's a great story. Ashly McGlone is back. We're excited to talk to her, and we'll pull some clips from her new project. All that and more coming up. Man, we got to get rich people some hobbies. This is crazy. So there's some really good stuff in the morning report this week, but in the South County report, Jim Hinch had this story out of Coronado, which is technically South Bay. No,
Well, they wouldn't identify us.
no. Well, they're there. So a new house in the Coronado Cays. So this is our own little Venice, right? There's a lot of canals and yachts, and it's just a beautiful. It's where Manny Machado lives. There was a house that sold for what? $38 million or is for sale. It's a high class place.
It's on the
Don't they,
Bayside, right?
Yes.
Yeah, don't they each have like their own little docks for boats and stuff?
Yeah. It's you go out there, fish, and say hi to your yachting friends. A lot of good living going on there. So there's a new house being built. This is from Jim Hinch. This is so good. Crews are erecting what a developer describes as, quote, a fully serviced estate that features a Bugatti automobile in the living room. Okay, just need a car. 2 presidential-style suites, a 100-foot dock big enough for 2 yachts, and this is the kicker. This is good. A 40-foot long fuselage of a Gulfstream G550 jet on the roof.
Well, you're missing a couple things too. It also on the roof, a geodesic dome and a gigantic $1 million bill as part of the floor or the floor on the roof. Oh. And I will say, you say that rich people need hobbies.
This guy apparently does, yeah.
This sounds like a hobby.
He's a hobby maxer for sure.
Commissioning absolutely atrocious interior decorations.
This has gone past atrocious to awesome. It's like crossed all the way over.
That is true. It's like past atrocious into kitsch, which is kind of okay,
Well, I think it's really crossed over with the help of the very organized opposition from the neighbors who made one of the best websites I've ever seen.
Okay.
Against something.
So they have filed a lawsuit. They say, quote, an actual airplane fuselage is not in harmony with the neighborhood. This is the best line, too. In fact, unless a catastrophic disaster happens, one will not find airplane parts on the roofs of any homes in the Coronado Caves. This is a suit. This is an actual legal filing. quote, that is because the Coronado Cays is an exclusive waterfront community, unlike those other places.
But they did helpfully on the website include a tracker of how many planes are on the roofs of San Diego homes.
Okay, so their tongue's in the cheek.
I will say the tracker so far is 0.
0.
Which makes me think that there should be at least one.
We are not a community of airplane hangars.
Yeah, it's like they have on the top of this website, there's one of those kind of like breaking news carousels in red, and it's like,
wait, let's share this site. What is the site?
It's savethecays.org.
Save the Cays.
I also don't feel like this is endangering the Cays in any way.
You don't understand.
It's
Every
endangering the vibes.
project that people don't like in a neighborhood has to be opposed by a Save the Neighborhood campaign. It's the way it is. I remember Point Loma, they're putting the lights up for the Point Loma High School Stadium, and it was Save Point Loma. It's always save.
Right.
You got to save. So 40-foot jet fuselage has no place on a residential roof.
I love that they have an AI rendering based on the HOA approved plans. And it just looks crazy.
Okay,
Yeah,
see,
let me tell
that's-
you, it doesn't look good.
That's better than I would have pictured. I thought it was going to be like a drive-through in like Riverside County, sorry, but like, some big like plane coming out of the roof or whatever.
It is funny how different the developer rendering and the HOA
Yeah.
rendering is.
Yeah.
The developer rendering is obviously so sleek, and the HOA rendering, they must have put into
It's like bulky.
yeah, I don't know exactly what they put in, but like plane on roof, make it look.
But then they also put like two
It does.
giant
It looks
normal
like-
looking houses next to it.
Yeah.
So then the contrast is really intense.
But the houses that they included look also quite like the one on the right. Anyway,
It's
doesn't
like old,
matter.
There's
old
like-
money style.
There's a reference in here to this is considered severe. There's like a list of problems at the bottom ranked from severe to significant.
Oh, yeah.
And there's something here about like it will cause problems because of boat rubbernecking on
Yeah.
the canal. It's going to be so distracting that boats like might collide into each other.
Yeah.
Another
Okay.
severe danger here is dangerous precedent. If a jet fuselage and helipad are allowed, what comes next?
What
It makes me wonder, Scott,
Yeah.
if you were this man, what's his name, Faten? Or Donatello Bonacera Development LLC, and you could
Yeah, we don't know who the actual
Sure.
dude is because it's got to be a dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this doesn't. Giant fuselage, $1 million bill, geodesic dome, Bugatti in the living room does not scream,
What if it's some like
Rich woman
dumb
to me.
influencer kid? Just
Also it's important to note that the exterior is just like a black box
a shiny black box at that.
with a jet on top of
Yeah.
it.
so it's like classy.
Yes,
It's a classy.
it's like a
Classy
dumb
and the
guy's
most-
idea of classy.
It's
right?
like
Very
okay,
soulless. But
it seems like a negotiation where there's one partner who's like, no. And then he's like, no, we'll make everything classy. Just let me put the jet in. Okay, you're right. So what would we do?
Yeah, what would you do if you had unlimited money to do whatever you wanted on top of your Cays mansion?
Well, if the area square footage allowed, I'd have to go with some sort of water slide / roller coaster implement. So maybe some kind of like a big water slide that was actually a roller coaster, but that launched you at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you can fly off the end of it into a pool? That's what I would do.
yeah, something everybody should know about Scott is that at our Voice of San Diego summer party, he went down the slide like at least 5 times.
He was, I think you should leave maxing. He was
Yes.
like, we were sitting there going, I think you're only here for the water slide.
slide.
And I will say, out of the problems listed on this website, I think your roller coaster and slide would qualify for all of them, which are aesthetic and property value concerns, nuisance prohibition,
Okay.
tourist traffic and
There's
disruption,
nothing-
all of this.
There's
yeah.
nothing funnier than super rich people who clearly believe in capitalism and property rights and all that, except when it comes to their neighbors' houses.
Mm-hmm.
Like at that point, it's like, no. I get to tell you what you can
Yep.
do or not.
Yep.
And I just think that's
The
delicious.
thing I don't understand is the HOA approved this.
Yeah, that's what's funny. They just,
Corruption, obviously.
Aren't they the ones in charge of making sure?
yeah, that's why I
neighbors
think
and
that
neighborhoods-
whoever this person is just like, oh, you gotta let
know.
him.
There's
let him do it.
there's like some mystery here.
All right.
There's a lot of speculation based on their cars.
Andrea, what would you do? What would be on top of your mansion?
I thought long and hard about this. I think I would put a little ranch on top of my mansion.
A little ranch?
Like horse stables and my
On
chicken
top?
coop. Yeah.
Not like
Would you
just
have
around it.
She would have a
No.
horse elevator.
Yes.
All right, Bella.
Unfortunately, I have to admit that I think that I'm most aesthetically aligned with the NIMBYs. I'm kind of
Yeah.
like historic
Can't
preservationist.
just stop.
If I had that much money, I would buy like a historic home in like Golden Hill,
Yeah.
or something like that. And
And you would put nothing on top of it?
like a roof, maybe.
right.
Like,
All right, Jacob, we got to move on. What would you do?
I think I would certainly put like a legit movie theater.
Yeah.
Giant speakers, industrial size
like stadium
popcorn machine.
swim thing where you could have a pool and a theater?
That would be pretty good.
All right.
Maybe like the roof opens up into a pool. I don't know exactly, but everybody would be invited over, all the neighbors, but they would have to put up with like Close Encounters of a Third Kind blasting them in the face
And
at like 3 in
cigarettes.
the morning. Yeah, cigarettes.
All right. And on the aviation theme, let's switch to another city. So this is John McCann, the mayor of Chula Vista, did his State of the City speech. And as mayors do, they get up and update on the things they're working on. But this event began with a Hollywood. This is from Jim Hinch again, just really bringing it on the aviation front. This event began with a Hollywood-style video starring McCann in a madcap race to get to the speech on time, culminating in him leaping out of an airplane and parachuting toward the city. AI is ruining life. This is clearly AI, right? So in the film,
ruining. I mean, this is very entertaining.
An actual airplane appeared overhead. So they have him in the video doing this. And then at the event, an actual airplane overhead releases a skydiver who descends toward the crowd of roughly 200 residents gathered at the Elite Athlete Training Center. The skydiver landed in a field nearby, and McCann strode onto stage in a tuxedo accompanied by the theme music from Mission Impossible.
Is there a video of this somewhere?
I would assume.
I've got to watch this. Sorry.
This sounds just so horrible.
Do you think he jumped out of an airplane, or was it a skydiver who jumped out of an airplane?
Yeah,
and
no,
then
he didn't
McCann
jump out of it.
No, I think he was doing a little bit of like, what is it? Thieving the glory of an actual skydiver.
what I was
Yeah, it was
thinking.
or a stuntman,
Sweet.
as any performer knows. So, look, I want to contrast this. So there's a Republican mayor, John McCann, doing that, and then there's Republican Mayor Bill Wells in El Cajon, who is taking a much more dour approach and is suing the state of California with some partners to get rid of the California Values Act, the quote sanctuary state stuff. So here we have John McCann like practicing his Spanish, jumping from airplanes, and Wells is like, we got to do more to get rid of the immigrants. It's a really interesting juxtaposition of mayors running local cities.
And that's not even to mention the situation in the city of San Diego.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Todd Gloria's version of this?
No. No, he couldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He's done with fun.
Fair enough.
Like,
But I would
they're
like to
It's
see
the
it.
era
I
of
would like
austerity.
to
I think
see
we're
it.
still in the era of austerity.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, while John McCann is apparently paying for airplanes and skydivers, like, Todd Gloria has moved the state of the city into the city council chambers instead of the bigger venue that they also own.
Yeah.
But it just has like too luxurious of vibes
Yeah.
for the moment.
Yeah. We got to have fluorescent lights.
Yep.
No seating.
Very hostile.
Signaling austerity, right?
Lots of austerity. We love having you join our conversation about real community issues on the pod, and hope you feel like you're part of the crew as well. So support this podcast during our spring campaign, and we'll thank you. If you leave a note, become a member for as little as $5 per month. Show your support for Voice and keep investigative journalism going. Your support ensures our journalists are equipped and paid to cover the local news that you value. Donate now at vost.org/local news. All right, Andrea, you want to start us off?
Yes, this note is from Brett, who says, what's a better combo than deep investigation and good humor?
Can't think of
I
one
don't know.
myself.
I think it's probably okay humor.
Or Hall and Oates. They're a good combo.
Colin said, no news source better in the game. Y'all are killing it. Thanks, Colin.
Kimberly said, Mackenzie's environmental articles, especially on the Tijuana River. It's just an issue that keeps on giving.
Keeps on giving.
Journalism, that is.
Mac was early to the TJ River.
Well.
Now it's everybody else is there, right?
Yeah.
Every single governor candidate, there's like a,
I think there's waves of early. Like, it was a big deal in the 80s.
Sure.
The 90s. And then we started really focusing on 2006, 5 or whatever, and then comes back again 10 years later, and it's back. And now it's like, you run for governor, you got to come put the gas mask on and say how much you're going to be upset about this when you're governor. But we should have a gas mask challenge. Who wore it better?
That's actually a good idea. I like that.
We talked last week about the county governance reform going through. Obviously, everybody's talking about the term limits, but I made the case about how much it's going to change otherwise for the county supervisor's ability to not only, analyze the budget and weigh into the budget, but really start to direct or ask county staff to help them with their initiatives, to talk, because right now they are prohibited from, quote, interfering with county staff operations. And this is a big shift from this sort of bureaucratic, preserved, walled garden of getting stuff done at the county operations-wise, separated from the politics of the county, and to try to sort of join those things again. And that's probably the biggest thing on the ballot, except for this change to the term limits. People are going to talk about it, and it's still probably the biggest sort of political impact of this. And remember, right now, county supervisors have 2 terms that are limited, right? So they only get those 2 terms. And the proposal, if voters approve it, would give it a 3rd term, and it would benefit the current supervisors.
But it's written in such a way as to confuse voters that they currently have 3 terms.
Yeah, it would be and put on 3 term limits as though they don't have term limits, but
it's quite a tricky linguistic flourish there, right?
It is
It's a way of asking for something to get a yes.
Yeah. It's like saying your mom, I want cookies. Can I have 2 cookies? No,
Mom,
wait.
Mom, can I only have 2 cookies,
Can I
please?
only have 2 cookies? Yeah. So it looked like it was heading towards, so it has to go to another vote of the county supervisors before it can go on the ballot. It looked like it was on its way. They got the 3 votes. But last week, State Senator Catherine Blakespear, who represents the North Coast of San Diego County, she spoke up. She said, quote, "I think it's outrageous and they need to change course." She said, quote, "They still have 3 weeks to change course," and she wants to see them do it. And her outrage is not about the change of the balance of power and operations and stuff. Her outrage is about the term limits impacting the current supervisors. And she said, look, if this was, if they just did it for future supervisors, they could stay 3 terms, great. But to do it for themselves, it just looks bad. She said, quote, "It's unquestionably a self-serving power grab, and it gives us all a bad name."
She's really going out there and saying the quiet part out loud there.
Yeah, well, I think it's the exact type of quote that if somebody ran an opposition campaign to this measure, they would use on a mailer. It's like State Senator Catherine Blakespear says it's unquestionably a self-serving power grab, and it gives us all a bad name.
Yeah.
And I pointed that out to her, and she's like, well, that might actually happen because there are people, the deputy district attorneys, for example, and others who are saying they might, actually try to oppose this because of the term limits they're trying to impose on the district attorney and on sheriff and stuff like that.
It is fascinating, too, that she largely approves of the measures. Like she thinks everything else is a pretty good idea, but it's this one thing that she disagrees with. And despite that, she went out and said something that could easily get misconstrued, even if they change that and be put on, a ballot or a ballot mailer regardless.
Yeah.
That strips all of the nuance away. I mean, it's a pretty blunt statement that could be used in a very blunt
Well, and
way.
she acknowledged that. Like, it's not like me to speak out, she said, this way, but I just think this is really bad and they need to fix it. She's really hoping that they do before that happens.
Like
So,
if they changed it to not apply to any of the sitting ones and
Yeah.
just future supervisors.
right.
We'll see.
We will see. So I also have some news. The week of May 13th, we are going to have County Supervisor Tara Lawson-Reamer in studio to talk about this and other things. So I think that'll be an interesting discussion. You guys ready? Ready to ask her some tough ones?
I will be.
Okay.
May 12th.
May 12th.
Yeah. Or May 13th.
May 13th at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask her the hard-hitting question of what did she like the most at Nat at Night when I saw her?
Oh. What is Nat at Night?
It's a natural history museum at night. They set up bars you can go in and
Were
have a
there,
drink.
like, wolves?
Like in general or special for...
Just wolves. Were there any wolves?
There were some coyotes. I don't know that I saw wolves.
Or a saber-tooth?
There was a saber-tooth.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Natural history museums are the best.
They're pretty cool.
So scary.
Yeah.
So
So
scary.
scary.
At night.
At night, too. Our Mariana Martinez Barba did some good work this week. Her first story was about the trash tax and its disappointing return so far.
Yeah, and that's because people are choosing to get smaller bins from the city, which means they're paying a lower fee.
So the city of
trash
San Diego,
collection.
had this new trash fee, giving out the new containers. They gave you the option to pick a smaller container, and they are shocked that
People are picking the smaller container, which is interesting because, this maybe means that people, aren't wasting as much or, maybe putting the recycling where it needs to go and putting the food waste where it needs to go and just strictly using their trash can for trash because they need a smaller bin. But
it's not surprising to me because the only people who can still afford single family homes right now are people who are older and don't have as much trash or kids around and stuff, right?
Well, and for once a week...
I mean, I'm being a little sarcastic, but kind of not, too.
For once a week, those large bins are massive.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have like a giant family, you're not going to fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess we do sometimes. But
Depends on
Depending on
the
events.
pizza boxes.
it depends on if we did anything different that week, like cleaned anything or cleaned somebody's room out or whatever.
Well,
Had a
for
party.
example,
Party.
before the fee, we had 2 garbage bins.
Yeah.
One for the front house and one for the ADU that we have
Yeah.
in the back. And so between us and my brother-in-law, we could fill both of those sometimes.
Yeah.
But now we just decided to get the one and we didn't pay to get another one. So I'm sure there are other people in that situation.
Fascinating. So now that means that next year it's going to be $9 million less that they're going to bring in, which might be the problem they wish they have because there is something else coming down. And I'm still in a state of shock that they're not talking about it more. So Mariana did another story this week that if voters repeal the trash fee, and it looks like that's going to get on the ballot, the Lincoln Club only needs to collect 21,000 or so signatures. And they already have, truck fulls of them. I mean, they're doing well on the signature gathering. And if they succeed, about $150 million in revenue is going to disappear.
Gone.
Which, and she included some references in the piece that were really helpful to me to
Sure.
picture this, which is 5% of the city budget or 5% of the income, the revenue.
Yeah.
And equal to the amount they spend on libraries.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that is pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's what they spend on the sidewalks and streetlights. It's a big deal. Yeah. And I think I was really interested in what she talked to the proponents of the signature gathering. Why do you want, what's your answer for what's going to happen in the budget? And Kevin Faulkner, former mayor, said, well, they lived for decades without a trash fee. What's the problem? They should be able to figure it out, find the waste, all that stuff. So I think, again, it's like a meteor is coming for the city budget. Now, there's a couple of points. One, about half the city already pays private haulers for their fee. And regardless of whether this is repealed, they'll still have to pay their own trash fees. And so if the campaign makes the case like this, you're just letting your neighbors not have to pay the fees you have to pay or close to them, then that might have some impact on that whole group voting somehow. The other point is that when they do put it on the ballot, the city will write the language of what's on the ballot. And if they write like this will kill, babies and puppies, and it's going to be the worst possible thing that ever happened.
It'll close fire stations,
right.
and we'll have to reduce police and communities, right. whatever.
Then it'll that'll have an impact as well. But the amount of ferocity around the city's decision to impose the fee, and then to do it about twice as high as they estimated they would have to, I think is not, unpalpable. You can feel it out there, and I don't know how they're going to get through that.
Right. I mean, it is like to everything that they're pointing to, right? It's like the language they're using is that this was a bait and switch on San Diego residents, that they were told they were going to pay about, $20-ish for trash, and instead you're ending up paying $40.
Yeah.
But a reader actually pointed out some fine print that they actually did say that it could be higher.
Yeah.
It just said, quote, this is in like the ballot background. It said, given that a cost of study could take several years to complete, the cost to provide the service may increase over the next several years. The actual fee levied could be higher.
I agree. I know they probably covered their butt a little bit on that, but if you go out and tell people on a ballot measure it's going to be $29, you almost have like an obligation just to do that, regardless of what it actually costs or what you think you can do. And you're being really reckless if you don't do that. So this is just driving it home more. Charles Modica, the independent budget analyst for the city, said, quote, the city would need to really have a conversation about just picking a service it's currently providing and not providing that service anymore.
Again, like libraries, for example. And there is like a group of council members, it seems, who are trying to find a middle ground. Henry Foster in particular has said, we said $29, let's just go back to $29, which would create its own sort of fiscal drama. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see if city officials try to take that other road.
And I still want to hear from Raul Campillo, a city council member who opposed the trash fee, who was unwilling to tell me that he supported the repeal, or what he would like to see, this gap made up with when it does hit.
I think something that's interesting in this trash conversation that doesn't get talked about enough is that our trash system just kind of sucks. Like the whole system we're like talking about funding, it's like there's so many redundancies. Like the fact that like when you live in an apartment complex, like there will be like 3 different trash trucks that come down the alley every day, because there's this mix of like city services and like various private haulers. And among the fact that it's just kind of like confusing and inefficient, it does like a lot of damage to our roads, like having these trash trucks like kind of overlap each other on these like paths constantly. Whereas like in the city of LA, they basically have it like segmented out. So like different private haulers get like different sections of the city. So they're all, that part of the city is all serviced by the same hauler. And I think it's like worth asking, just like on a like high level, like probably more affordable, but I don't know. It's just unfortunate to hear about all of this like funding that the city is like really reliant on for a system that like sucks.
Yeah. Well, there was a deal to be made here. I think this is an example of part of the problem with Democrats becoming the unanimous majority of all city elected officials, was that they just thought like there was no need to compromise with the business community at all. There's a whole group of business leaders who were like, well, let's let private haulers handle this, and then you relieve the city of that massive, expense, which is similar to like paying for it. Now the city could have negotiated labor protections and other things in that process to make sure it was something they could do. Instead, they just they close their ears to all of that. They fight for the highest possible fee they can get, and now they're in trouble of this giant, reckoning. And I think that, and in the meantime, they still haven't worked out the rights of entry of all these, like rights of way of all these other haulers, and half private, half not is so weird. this was supposed to be a huge step towards organizing things better, seeing exactly who deserved the city service and who didn't, and all of that. And now it's all being messed up, and it could be thrown into chaos now for another decade because of how far and how uncompromising they were on all those points. And I think, now they'll be forced into something different, and it's just going to take a while to work out. I was thrilled the other day to get a call from a former colleague and honestly one of the best investigative reporters Voice San Diego's ever had. And that I was also thrilled to hear that she was investigating again. And she's got a great project going about a family member and some history. And I was excited to see it come together. And she joins us in studio now. Ashly McGlone, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me
Does it
back.
feel good to be back?
Great to be back. It's been 5 years. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Well, so you took a little time off. You had now got a great new project. So it's about your grandfather. Tell us about him and why it was intriguing.
James Lyle Steele, my grandfather, 89 years old. He has lived this wild, amazing life. He was a part of the very first forced reconnaissance team based out of Camp Pendleton, 1957. I had heard his snippets of his story growing up, and there's so many twists and turns and close call after close call over this military history journey. He went to Vietnam 3 times. He served in the Dominican Republic. He found himself in Cuba at one point. This is during the Cold War. They're fighting communists. They're afraid of more communists. It's just this also really amazing snapshot in history.
Yeah.
So his 30-year career spans from the 50s to the 80s, and there's a lot of history packed in there.
So the reconnaissance community is a tight one. So, I guess I've heard that word for years. What does it actually mean? What do they do?
They're the elite of the elite in the Marine Corps. So when he was there when it was just the amphibious assault reconnaissance team, and then they added. So they were doing the scuba landings, submarine landings, and kind of like sneaking up onto these beaches and doing reconnaissance. So they're investigating the beaches. They're looking out, kind of like scouting it for a bigger landing. So these are usually smaller, specialized teams of special ops.
Yeah.
Trying to do reconnaissance, trying to research. They also might be sent in as sort of a hyper-specific strike team. But often they're sort of clandestine, hiding, preparing for a larger group to be coming, and so that the next group has the intelligence that they need to do it successfully, and be prepared for whatever is out there, whatever enemy troops might be there, whatever circumstances they might encounter.
So easy stuff.
Yeah, the easiest stuff. No. And then when he's there for the amphibious team, then they add the parachute stuff. So he's there when they transition to, okay, now you need to be good at submarines, parachutes, jumping out of airplanes, and land operations. And he said some guys weren't quite ready for that. They were fine with the submarine, but they weren't ready to jump out of an airplane.
See, for me, it'd be the opposite.
Yeah.
I think,
Submarines are real stressful.
Oh,
he
man.
said that was actually, for him, there's nothing like it. You turn one wrong knob and you're done. Yeah.
Well, let's. So you have pulled these stories together along with some other reporting for a new podcast series called Reconnaissance Man.
That's right.
And it started releasing episodes last week.
Sunday. Mm-hmm.
And you got 8 more to go?
8 more to go, yep.
All right. Well, tell us about. So we have an intro here. Let's play that clip.
That was our biggest concern, was booby traps, and they had some ingenious ways of doing it. Whether it was bamboo or metal, didn't matter. Your own weight stabbed those things into you. Then they tried to pull you out. They couldn't. They tunneled down under the town like a honeycomb. They said there was 100 miles of tunnels under there. So at night, bing, bing, someone's shooting at them from inside the camp. And we were on a little trail, and on Tos is a tracked vehicle, looks like a baby tank, and that damn thing hit a mine, and it freshly refueled, pieces everywhere. And so we spent the next day, part of that day and the next day, going around picking pieces of meat off the bushes.
The Vietnam War in the 1960s and 70s turned thousands of young men in the United States into hardened warriors. More than 3 million American troops were sent to the region, and 58,000 would lose their lives. Officially, U.S. combat troops were in the country from 1965 to 1973. But talk to retired U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel James Steele, and he'll tell you military advisors the U.S. sent to Vietnam back in 1961 were already knee-deep in battle preparations.
So these are intense things he's experiencing. Where was that from?
So that was predominantly Vietnam.
Yeah.
He went back for 3 tours, and then additionally, he gets wounded over there, and he wants to go back again. He's not the guy that's like eager to stay out of the fight. He wants to go back as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And he even goes to great lengths to get himself back over there. He loses a loved one. He technically could have stayed out of the line of fire at that point as the sole surviving son. He wants to go back. He's asked, will you escort the body home? He says, only if I can come back to this specific frontline operations job. He doesn't want to be in the back. He doesn't want to be administrative. And even as he rises through the ranks as a major, he's still out there capturing rockets and conducting missions and leading missions rather than the captains and whatever. He's like, I wanted to be the one doing it. I did all this training. I want to actually use it. So he goes back a number of times, but Vietnam put him through the most harrowing events of his life for sure. And he needed all that training to survive. And he even needed to toughen up. What we ask of our soldiers who go to war and our Marines that go to war is a lot when you're actually on the front lines. And so he did that. He did that very successfully, and it saved him. But then later you have to kind of deprogram because, you can only be so hard for so long when you're back in the States with 6 kids, no less. That hardened Marine needs to soften a bit.
But he stayed in the service.
He did, 30 years.
And so how did he reprogram, as you said?
Yeah, I don't think I was alive at that part. I was barely almost alive. So I was born in 87. I think he retired in 85. Mm-hmm. But the grandfather that I know is soft, jokester, affable, not this hard as nails. We do have an episode. The last episode is Recon Family, and he talks about what he wanted to impart on his children when he came home. And I have heard stories about, teaching his kids to appreciate hard work for hard work's sake. Just because it's hard doesn't mean you can't do it. Trying to teach some of that to them.
So you have an interesting part of the podcast about where he has to deal with some local leaders, right? So there was this encounter with a village head. Tell us about that.
So part of what makes his story fascinating is he's sent to Vietnam in 1961.
Yeah.
U.S. combat troops weren't even supposed to be there officially doing missions.
Yeah, this was a French war at the time. Right?
Well, that was the prior, but
right.
The U.S. are just advising
right.
that the Northerners and the Southerners are in battle.
Right.
But the U.S. is kind of poking around and getting prepared. But as he says, we were there, we were preparing to fight. He was stationed in Okinawa, but he was sent in 1961 to Vietnam to see how are the Southern Vietnamese fighting the Northern Vietnamese, and also what lessons can I take back to Okinawa, because the U.S. was prepared to be joining the South coming up. And again, officially it doesn't happen until I think 1965. But as we maybe know, there was a lot of information that wasn't shared with folks back home that was happening on the ground in Vietnam at the time. So on his very first trip, he says, a village chief's head he saw stuck on a pole. So the Northerners, whether it was the Northern Army or the Viet Cong or the local guerrilla fighters in the South that are partnering with the Communist North to intimidate the South, to rampage the South and try to take over the South to make it an entirely communist country. Whereas the Southern government is affiliated with the United States at this point. And so he sees a village chief's head on a pole as a warning to those villagers, and he sees the rationale for the United States to come to their aid. There's a lot of controversy over was the United States even needing to be there? Should we have gone? But he's like, to me, it was always clear. This was an ally under siege. We needed to help them. They're treating their own people like this. They need help. So of course we need to go help. But the brutality came quick. He even has 2 close calls on that very first trip. A train that he was supposed to be on is ransacked by the VC. He would have died or been captured if he had gotten on that train. Thank God he didn't, for my sake and everyone else in my family. He has another close call where he sees a chopper crash and he has to dig someone out that's pinned to the ground. And it's like action just started right away. Again, even years before the U.S. public was fully aware of what was going on.
Did he ever reflect when you talked to him about our role in Vietnam and looking back, whether it was all worth it?
He does not like Jane Fonda. He was not a fan of her. He's a Republican through and through. So he really, and I asked him though, because there was Democrat, Republican presidents, and he's like, at least at first we were all for the war.
Yeah.
And then obviously that shifted. And he said that they felt connected to the states back home at first. And we felt that support. And then they started cutting off some of that contact back home to make sure the troops on the ground weren't hearing about the protests and things right away. He said he was spared some of the being spit on and the aggression towards the troops themselves, because when he went home, at least one of the times, he was wounded. So he was transported in a military helicopter. He wasn't, just walking through an airport or whatever. But yeah, he never questioned why they should be there. That just wasn't his story.
Yeah. Did he question whether we did enough to prevail?
He was devastated that they tried to, the Vietnamization process, where the war was not done, but the appetite for war for the U.S. was done. And again, what I found fascinating too, as I did my own history and digging, was and this dovetails with the Watergate scandal, and Nixon is being questioned about that, and there's leaks of the Pentagon Papers, and part of that is exposing what was going on in Vietnam for multiple administrations, and there's pressure on him there. And so he needs to wind this war down. And so they're like, okay, we're going to hand this battle back to the South and Vietnamize, kind of walk away without calling it a loss. But then within a couple of years, I think officially Saigon falls, and Grandpa just says, it was devastating. He said that they had all these beautiful positions by that point. He had been there multiple times. Mm-hmm. He was working alongside the elite troops that the South had. And when it all comes crumbling down, the elite ones are told, you guys stay and fight, so the rest, to the extent they can, evacuate some of the other folks that were in the South before Saigon totally was taken over. They were just slaughtered. And so he's like, those were good soldiers, and they just were left, to languish and to be destroyed. And so he's very obviously frustrated that didn't go the way it was supposed to.
Whether you're right or left, there's a lot to be disappointed in what happened.
Yeah.
So he's back. He's a family man, but he still has this connection to risk taking and danger constantly.
Correct. Yeah, he was not ready to take it easy just because he was no longer in Vietnam, just because Saigon falls. He actually volunteers to test out new military contraptions at Quantico, at the Marine Development Center there. And that involves literally throwing yourself...
This is all just like a movie. It's like James Bond with all these contraptions and stuff. And...
Who doesn't want to throw yourself out of an airplane with a parachute that may or may not work, you know? And we're going to test it out, but someone has to do it. And so he's the guinea pig. He volunteers. And I struggled. I'm like, Grandpa, what motivates you to do that?
Can't you just throw a bag of sugar out and see if it catches in there?
And he's funny. Again, the grandpa I know is funny. So he's like, well, why do people race cars? And I'm like, so for the thrill, that you might have to do a Survivor Man thing. And he's like, well, in him mentally, he's like, that's always the other guy. Mine was always going to work. And that helped him survive. But he did have times, he said 5 times in his career, including a couple at the development center and a couple just during a service, his initial parachute doesn't open. He's very badly injured during one jump where it literally opens at the last 2 seconds, and his collarbone gets crushed in and his vertebra, and then he drives himself to the hospital because he doesn't want the ambulance that's sitting there. He's like, if I had to take the ambulance to the hospital, then the other jumpers couldn't keep jumping. So I drove myself, and the hospital's like, you got in a parachute accident, but you drove. He's like, they don't believe me. And then they see his x-ray and they're like, oh my God, he's just a madman. I love him, but it's a special breed to be a recon Marine. Mm-hmm. And then he was even, he was the honor man. He has this drive in him to do the crazy things that most people don't want to do. But he thrives in it, and he lives for it. And he does that for a couple of years. He gets burned doing heated wetsuit tests, almost dies doing that. It's just nonstop. There's so many twists and turns through his whole career and life that I just knew that this is a human interest story that more people should hear than just my family.
Yeah. So what made you think okay, you're hearing these stories, this this is something I want to share with everybody.
It's a fascinating tale of how far can the human body go? What can a highly trained elite soldier do and endure? How do you exist in the midst of war off and on, off and on? I understand like the R&R stuff that they used to do back then. It's a different setup these days. But how did they manage? And I was also really curious, what did they even know on the ground, right? Like I have the privilege of hindsight, right? I can actually pull up tapes of Lyndon B. Johnson talking to McNamara about the strategy on the ground. The soldiers on the ground didn't know that at the time. What did they even know about why they were there? What did they even think about why they were there? So, and then he's not only just a rank and file Marine. He becomes a leader and he's doing these special ops. And what is that like? And I just think it's fascinating. And again, if you hang with us through all 9, I think you'll hear. Again, so many close calls, so many twists and turns.
Well, that's what's interesting. But that moment where you decide, like, okay, I want to document this as a journalist. You've a couple years removed from doing daily reporting, and you say, like, this is a story that I want to share. Like, what was going on that made you think that?
I think, to be honest, so artificial intelligence is obviously a new big thing.
Yeah.
And it can replace a lot. It can't replace the human experience and what we are asking our military service members to do. The body can endure a lot. You can train it to do a lot and do things and endure things and see things and operate under crazy, brutal, traumatic circumstances for a long time. But there is a cost and there is a toll and there is an impact. And even the ones like Grandpa who are happy to do it, are eager to do it, PTSD does come around and rears its ugly head at the end of things. And there's some sections of the podcast that talk about that. But nothing can replace the human experience.
Yeah.
And also, again, it is this window into 30 years of U.S. history. And I include quotes from, John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson. And again, like the context of it all, I think, especially at the moment we're at war again, and we're talking about what is the U.S.'s responsibility or privilege or choice or commitment to communities that need help, but also when is it appropriate to intervene, when is it not, right? Like these decisions are made in Washington with a lot of implications for families all over the country. Let's look back in time and see how it went down before and again, maybe reflect on what's happening currently. And Cuba's back in the news too, which is wild. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so he was part of an early version of trying to overthrow the communist regime there.
That's right. Well, and the Dominican Republic, they were afraid that was going to become the next Cuba. So Johnson sends a ton of troops down there, and it does do that. So in a lot of ways, it was considered a success. But the U.S. involvement, was called imperialism by, the Soviets and whatever.
Yeah.
And like, why are all these Americans here all of a sudden? Like, It's interesting.
All right, let's set up one last clip. So this is him navigating some trails and tunnels. Tell us about it.
So the Cu Chi was a town that they did not know initially, but the Viet Cong guerrilla fighters were already there. They actually set up a U.S. base, as I understand it, like right on top of this town, where underneath were these dug clandestine tunnels. And he said it took years for them to figure it out until a tank finally broke through. But before they knew those tunnels were there, right, they think they have this secure base, and, a guy pops up and starts shooting in the middle of the night, and they're thinking that the security guard has let someone through. Well, they didn't realize they were already there, just underground, wow. Right? And the tactics that the VC used, my grandpa is just so flabbergasted by, and he's so amazed by, and even has a sort of admiration for. He's like, man, they did not have the force that we had with the air power and everything. They had bamboo sticks, and he's like, yeah, they had tanks later, and they had some backing from China and the Soviets or whatever. But they're just using the shirt on their backs and a shovel, and like they could inflict some serious damage that way. And the tactics they used and the creativity they brought to their fight, he was sort of blown away by, and did not expect that until he had to get used to it and then try to figure out how to counter it on the ground. But yeah, he talks about the tunnels and the booby traps and all kinds of things that they encountered. How prevalent was the bamboo?
Everywhere. That was our biggest concern, was booby traps. And they had some ingenious ways of doing it. Boy, oh boy. They had 2 boards. They got the hole, 2 boards. And then when you step on the boards, they'd let your foot go through, and that would close them, and that would stick the things into you, whether it's bamboo or metal, didn't matter. But your own weight stabbed those things into you. And then they try to pull you out, they couldn't. And then they got real clever and they booby-trapped the pit so that when the good guys came to help you, they're trying to dig that out of there, help you. They were ingenious. I don't know how anyone can not admire their ability. No tanks, well, they had a few tanks at the end, but no planes, no nothing, just back, shirt on their back and off they go.
The Vietnamese landscape was full of surprises.
Well, Ashly McGlone, so you have a few more weeks of this coming out. Thank you so much for sharing it. Did it feel good to do some reporting again?
Oh my gosh, my journalism brain was so happy. I was actually able to use it again, and spend a lot of time with a beloved family member. So it was such a blessing and amazing, and so grateful. I got to work with a former colleague, Kayla Jimenez, as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kayla. The Marine Reconnaissance Foundation chipped in.
Yeah, tell us. So this is a San Diego story too.
It is, yeah. So the Marine Reconnaissance Foundation is a nonprofit that supports recon families and recon Marines, former and I believe present. But they got involved. They provided some support so I could put this together. And then they put me in touch with Combat Story. And they're the ones that helped me visualize it. And so it's going out on their platforms. We're doing we did a special screening at Camp Pendleton before it launched online. They've just been amazing. And it's finally here. It's finally happening. So I'm so excited. And yes, I miss journalism. I love it. My kids need me right now, but it was good to get back into the fray.
Well, the podcast is called Reconnaissance Man, and it's available on all the podcast platforms you might have.
That's right. Combat Story. Look up Combat Story, and it'll be there.
Thank you. Ashly McGlone, it's great to see you.
So amazing to see you guys. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Voice of San Diego podcast, the most popular public affairs podcast recorded in Greater Little Italy that really gets into the aviation aspects of local politics and where imagery of planes should be or not. I'm Scott Lewis, CEO and editor-in-chief at Voice San Diego. Bella Ross is the social media producer. Jacob McQuinney's our education reporter. Andrea Sanchez Villafana is the managing editor, and Matt Scraby is the producer of the show. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.